Okay? It's about getting organized to go after and to go after the oligarchic system and to do something about it. Yes, we can protest and we can complain about the fact that we went to war in Iraq on a bunch of lies and everybody knew it, except for those who are easily led. We can also talk about the fact that Obama let all the bankers stay out of prison and also give them their bonuses. We can talk about the fact that we have Epstein murdered in jail so that he wouldn't rat out the elites. We can talk about the COVID-19 epidemic, which led to more security controls on Americans and lies and manipulation of the public. We can talk about many of these other things that have happened, these horrible, horrible things. We can talk about the fact that Biden won the election because he lied and cheated and stealed his way over Bernie Sanders, who was going to win. We can talk about the fact he rigged the national election to win. We can talk about the fact that Donald Trump has done jack shit other than some anti-woke stuff to appease his younger and more naive voters, supporters. We can talk about the fact that Israel now is obviously ruling the United States in its foreign policy and has caused trillions upon trillions of dollars of our money, our working people's money, to be spent on fighting dream wars for Israel. We can talk about over and over and complain about all of that stuff. And yes, that's all true. But if we don't get off our asses and do something about it, that's all we're worth, is complaint. And every time I write a comment on somebody's YouTube, whether it's Greenwald or Tucker Carlson or Nick Fuentes or Candace Owens or other people on the right who have not turned into insane Zionists. Whenever I write a comment about that, I say and I propose, let's do something about it. Let's stop complaining about it. Let's form a political party, a populist party. Let's call it, I don't know, America First. That sounds like a great name. Or just the American Party. How about the American Party? That we know we're going to exclude people who don't belong in this country and who are influencing it abnormally, have too much control over our country. Or we could continue complaining about the fact that Nancy Pelosi is a crook and she's going to die in office, that Feinstein was a crook, that Shifty Schiff is a crook. We can complain that the guy down there in Alabama, what's his name, the gay Alabama senator is a crook, or that George W. Bush was a crook, or his whole family are a bunch of crooks, or the Clintons are crooks, or the Trumpies are crooks. Yeah, we can talk all about that. But if we don't get a political movement together that solves these things legislatively and keep saying we're going to have a revolution, nothing is going to work. We're not going to have a violent revolution. That isn't the way things are done anymore. There's too much lethality out there to have that. If we had a revolution, we'd just kill each other off. The oligarchs would probably end up winning that one. We have to wake up. We have to have a political party of reason, fairness, that defends the United States of America. Did you know it is the only country that it actually has more navigable rivers than the rest of the world combined? And guess what? They're right in the middle of the country. So that alone, the fact that the country is defended by huge, huge oceans between the two threats of the East and the West, the constant fighting Europe and the conniving Asian Chinese or whomever it is over there that threatens us. We have a perfect country. We have a perfect blend of people, black, white, Asian, Latino. Who else you got? Let's throw some more in there. We have a great country. We have the best country that's ever existed. We need to stop complaining. We know what's wrong. We can see very clearly that when there is a standing ovation by Americans in a joint session of Congress, when a foreign leader of that country, Israel in particular, is offending and insulting the President of the United States, and he gets, 37, 39, 27, 29 standing ovations, and I'm talking about the President of, or the Prime Minister of Israel. Got that against Barack Obama. What does that mean? Wake up. We need a party that works to help Americans to defend our country against all foreign agencies and is loyal to us. I don't understand why we continue to complain about it. Nobody seems to want to. Then the other day, Fuentes goes off on this little tiny philosophical point between him and I don't know, it was Candace Owens or somebody else, but he was fixed on, rather than talking about the fact that we need a new political party and agreeing with that idea and throwing his 2 cents into that and giving some blessing to that and saying, yeah, that's what we need to do. He goes off on this, let's not talk about that anymore. Let's talk about my trauma that I experienced 5 or 10 years ago when they canceled me and they debanked me and they deflew me and they de-respected me and all of the other shit they did to him. Get over it, Nick. Grow up. You're almost 30. You're almost an adult. 35 maybe. Turned me into an adult. Anyway, we need to wake up. We need to form a party. We need to stop whining about things that we're not going to change, about gay bathrooms or about flag burners or all of these other little issues that they stick in our way to distract us with their little shiny things that we're not going to resolve. We're not going to get gun control, especially now after we realize how much of a threat our federal government can be against us. We're not going to have voluntary abortion because it's not moral, okay? Yeah, some abortions probably are in order, but we need to develop a secure family system wherein women don't have to be pressured to abort children. There's enough birth control out there to have that all go away. But let's not fight about it. And then at the national forum, it's not a fight for that. We need to fight for common people, for working people, for the stability of the United States and therefore the stability of the world, or we will lose it all. These people at the top, these AI people, if you notice, they're pathological people. They're psychopaths and sociopaths. They believe in a lot in sci-fi, so they probably think human beings are not perfect enough, and we're going to have to make some certain modifications by force in order to make people better, so that they're more like us, more godless, smarter, more efficient. You don't think that's coming? What do you think AI is for? Do you think it's for making money? You think the media, the legacy media makes money? It doesn't make any money. It's supported by old fart medications and denture cream and shit like that. It's what it does is it wields power. That's what AI is going to do. If you haven't noticed, all of the AI is very one-sided and also very woke. And unless you wrestle with it far, it will give you history lessons about how Zionism is okay, but racial superiority from the Nazis is not okay. But Zionistic racial superiority is just fine. And it will make arguments like that all day long. They are coming for us, and they're coming for us now. They've used the last 20 or 30 years and terrorism to justify more and more insidious, super dangerous surveillance. If you don't think they know exactly who you are and what you buy and what you look at and what you listen to and what your interests are, you are wrong. There is no more Fourth Amendment. And they're moving on the First Amendment of free speech already. That's why the Zionists of Ellison and the rest of them and Dell and all the other ones that run the Jewish cabal in the United States, and yes, I will call it a Jewish cabal, and I'm sad to call it that because my family's Jewish. A lot of my family's Jewish. My son is Jewish. My wife is Jewish. These people do not mean us well. They don't regard us as important. They normally, look at Musk in his, what is it called, the H-1B program. He doesn't care about American engineers. He cares about saving a few $1,000s on each engineer that he runs over from India or China or wherever on our dollar. Our cost to get these people over here so they'll work for him for cheaper and they'll be indentured to him. This is what is going on. I can complain about it over and over, and I can hear all of you complaining about it over and over, but complaining about it ain't going to get it fixed. Anyway, that's all I've got to say tonight, and I hope that all of the people out there that are leaders, all of the so-called influencers, right and left, except for the fucking Zionists. I don't know who the hell they are, and the neocons, or the gal down, Wasserman Schultzes and the Nancy Pelosi's and the rest of the Boses. Yeah, I know it doesn't rhyme very well, does it? But it certainly sounds good. We need to get organized and get off the ground. All of the influencers that I'm talking about. And you know who you are. You're on the left and you're on the right. A lot of you are called Nazis. I heard Tucker Carlson being called a Nazi. Candace Owens is a nut. Jimmy Dore is a useless old fart, and etc. And Glenn Greenwald, hell, he lives in Brazil because he's so afraid of the United States. We need to we better do something, because the window is closing. The opportunity to prevent complete subjugation by surveillance is closing. We have we're not governing any of these big data companies, these big AI companies, these big communication companies. We're not governing them. They're governing us. They're telling our politicians what to do. We need a party that will oppose that, will regulate them. Adam Smith didn't say that capitalism is great. He said, well-regulated capitalism is great, and it's the best. We don't have that anymore. It's not regulated anymore. It is designed to defeat as many oncomers as it can and to eliminate opposition to the power structure that's already here. We had better wake up. I'm 75, so I'm not going to be around forever. Hopefully this YouTube piece that I'm doing right now will be around, and people can see it. But man, I don't want to hear any more complaints about what's wrong. I want to hear about how are we going to arrange ourselves and organize ourselves, just like the founding fathers did, to reinvigorate the concept of American Republican democracy. And if we don't, the advantage I have at 75 is I see the writing on the wall. I've been around long enough, read enough history. See right back here. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's some of my history books. That's all American history right there, which is I think the most relevant history. But there's also Roman history, Greek history, French history, Russian history. There's a lot of history out there that I have read, and I've also had an awake at least 30, 40 years of being fully aware of what's going on around me, and mature enough to absorb what was going on around me. I went through the Vietnam War with my friends, and some died. And I went I went through the phony ass wars in the Middle East. I've been through all of that. My point being, rather than me bragging about what an old man has done, I have a pretty good perspective on things. And I'm telling you, things are forming in such a way that if we don't deal with them soon, now, I don't mean soon. I shouldn't have said soon. If we don't begin today dealing with it and saying, okay, how do we arrange this thing? How do we organize? How do we meet together? How do we talk to each other to get this done? Because as soon as we start doing it and start becoming effective, these people that run things are going to go after us. And we need to prepare for that as well. Somebody respond to this. Somebody bring whatever I'm saying to the powers, whether it's Carlson or it's Candace or it's people on the left like what's her name, Halper or Sam Cedar or any of the other people. How about Greenwald? Have them look at my proposal, my demand. Have the left and the right who matter. I was a Bernie supporter way back in the day, but I don't know. Maybe he just pocketed all the money and did it for fun and liked going out. I saw him in Santa Maria, California. 5,000 people showed up there while Hillary Clinton down in Santa Barbara had about 200 people at a golf course. The same weekend. Bernie was going to do it. And God damn, did that scare the Democrats. So much so that they put up this Sleepy Joe, who used to be called the credit card senator because he prevented people from declaring bankruptcy on their credit cards. Now, even though he went completely bankrupt from medical bills, you couldn't bankrupt your credit card. You had to pay that. That's one of the reasons he became president. They're in control of us. The banks are in control of us. If we don't do something, they foreclosed on about 6 million homes when Obama was president. None of them went to jail for all the money they stole. And now they're allowed to buy and own real estate. Before Glass-Steagall, which Clinton got rid of, they weren't allowed to own real estate. They had to separate banks from investment houses. We've got to do something about this. I hope to see it at least starting before I die. I don't know how many months or years I've got left, but I ain't getting any younger. And I'm not going to be any more vigorous than I am right now in recommending that we do something about all this, what's happening, and we do something other than the complaining. That's all I hear. Anyway, that's it. For what it's worth, as Steve Stills once said,